Hello again everyone, I'm Don McDermott. I'm building the wooden sail cargo vessel Lady Garnet, the first genuine trading wherry to be built since 1912. Now in this episode, I finally lay the lofting floor at the wherry tent, and over at the sailing club I carry on with work on the 9-foot dinghy, which will be the tender for Lady Garnet, and prepare her for her first trip by road. First things first, I had to finish moving the oak into stacks, and this was one of the last pieces to be moved. My plan for this piece is to use it for the garboard planks, which are the first planks to go on the boat, and which are often thicker than the others. I decided to cut this into 2 lengths now because there was a lot of stress in the wood and it was causing some drying cracks. After cutting halfway along, you can see how much the wood has sprung apart. Definitely some tension in there. Charlie also used the telehandler to move the last big chunk of wood, which someday will be the main beam of the boat, and we decided to store it on top of the storage container. So I brought a couple bears up with me and some covers for it, the corrugated bitumen stuff that I've used to cover all the other stacks, and that will sit up there for a good long while. And now about that lofting floor. Well, as you can see, we've gone back in time to when, as you can tell, it was much colder. Because I actually started the lofting floor in, I think, January, maybe February, but then when I bought all the oak, I had to postpone the lofting floor until all that was stacked away out of the tent. So now we return to present day, a day I've been rather anxiously waiting for when I can finally restart laying the lofting floor. So, what is lofting? Basically, it involves drawing the boat out full size in 3 different aspects, the same 3 views you saw when I showed you all the plans. Once I've drawn the boat out, I can use the lines to correctly shape and assemble the stem post, stern post, the keel, which will be easy on a wherry since it's pretty much a straight line, the hog, and the station molds, which are not a permanent part of the boat but give the shape around which I can bend the planks. The lofting floor is usually painted white as it shows up the lines better, so Allie came over to do some painting. She's also painted all the plywood walls of the tent, and doesn't it look much nicer now? But let's step away from the wherry tent for now, because the more interesting woodworking I have been doing is on Lady Garnet's yet-to-be-named dinghy. In the last episode, you saw how my sister Alexandra and I steamed in all of the ribs and in all of the stringers, and the next stage in the process is to make the thwarts. Now there's 3 thwarts. There's one up forward, and that will at some point have a hole drilled in the middle of it because that is where the mast drops in. There's the middle thwart, which goes just aft of the centerboard case. There of course is the slot for the centerboard. Haven't made the centerboard case yet, which I will need to do soon. And then we also have the aft thwart here, which is frequently called the stern sheets. Now, in the plans that I have, the stern sheets are supposed to butt up against the transom. However, I've decided a person of my size needs a little bit more space, otherwise I'll be a bit cramped with the tiller, so I don't actually want to have the thwart all the way aft, so I'm moving it slightly further forward to about there. And that is why these stringers, the risers, don't run all the way to the back, because they don't need to, because of course this is one of the purposes of this particular stringer, besides obviously just giving greater strength and rigidity to the boat overall. It's also what we're going to screw the thwarts into. So what I'm doing now, besides the obvious getting into the boat, is I'm just going to try and figure out where precisely I want the aft thwart to be. So I'm just going to imagine if I was sitting here with the tiller, and I think I will put the aft end of it just forward of this rib there. Now I have to get out. Ow! I keep doing that. So I've got one of my old pieces of ply and I've measured and cut it to just under what it will be roughly the length of the middle thwart. I'm starting with the longest of the three because that way I can just use the same piece of ply as a template and just cut a little bit shorter to do the stern sheet, and then a little bit shorter still to do the one up forward. So I've clamped this into place. And now I'm going to use one of my dummy sticks to mark the lines. So now I've clamped the template onto the actual piece of sapele, or African mahogany, that I'm going to be making the thwart from. And now I'm just going to transfer these lines. Now, I marked on both sides where the forward edge was, so that's how I've lined this up. With the thwarts in place, I'm now cutting off the excess on the ribs and planks, and the reason I'm doing this is to prepare for moving the dinghy. I decided not to renew my lease at the sailing club and to move the dinghy to Tom Jones Boatyard instead and keep it in the Wherry tent while I finish her. It just makes more sense logistically and financially. So Charlie, my yard manager, came down with a flatbed trailer to take the dinghy on her first voyage.
transom.
There we go.
There you go. All good?
Yep.
Right then, slowly walk this way. And lower it down.
Thank you, Charlie, as ever. Very expertly done. But then, of course, Charlie is pretty good at towing boats. He does it on the river all the time, so towing one on the motorway is nothing. So coming up, I'm going to start the lofting process, hopefully do some more work on the dinghy. I need to make the supporting knees. I am a little bit busy right now with my regular job at the yard, and I'm also going to be on holiday for the first week of July. I'm going to be crewing on the trading wherry Albion up on the Norfolk Broads with my sister Alexandra. After all, there's no point in building a trading wherry if you don't know how to sail one. So if you're on the southern rivers of the Broads, particularly around Beccles and Alton Broad, and you see Albion sailing by between the 2nd and 7th of July, then shout hello, because I will be on board all of those days. And of course, if you aren't on the Broads, I will see you in the next episode. Thank you so much to everyone who has supported this project through Patreon, through the GoFundMe page, and thank you all for watching this latest episode of Building Lady Garnet.